fixed.
Let's call a meeting to order.
I'll put up, right?
Whole committee's present. Lena Stiff. Have a seat.
Which item number?
Oh, we got a number of them.
56?
56, yeah, and then 52, 53, and 56. The 56 is for the application for the license.
Mr. Chair?
All in me.
Are we at quota?
Currently, they are part of the quota,
Okay.
so they're factored into the current number.
And my understanding is this is not a renewal, this is a new application.
Correct.
because It's so old.
Correct. The applicants did not apply within the last license periods that expired, and this is a new application now. So the standard for a new application applies.
Were you aware that you were?
Yeah, we had the money and then our bar was broken into. So it took
Twice.
some time, twice, so it took some time to get the money back.
Do you understand though, it was kind of a loaded question, I know the answer. Yeah, the police department came in a couple of times
Yeah,
and shut you down for not having a license. And, I can understand coming in once and saying you don't have a license, shut down, and you take immediate action to get back in here to renew the license. But to do it repeatedly, that's just completely unacceptable. I don't care who you are or what bar you own. Absolutely unacceptable for that to happen.
See, question. But technically, there's not a license there.
Correct. They did not,
So without that license, you said it's considered in the ones that are currently active. But if we take that out of there, are we still over quota? How many are we over quota?
like one or two. We never took their number out of the quota.
Right,
put it that
I
way.
understand that.
So the,
But I'm saying if we did, like it should have been because it's not there, then we're over quota.
correct.
Okay. Anybody else got anything?
Mr. Chair,
Oh.
I just, I know part of the story, but maybe someone can share the whole story. You were operating several times and you got, hang on, and you were caught without a current license. And you were warned once?
More than once.
One of the times we weren't open to the public, it was her family there, and we wasn't selling alcohol or nothing. We just had like a movie night there. And then they told us we had to leave, but we wasn't selling liquor. We just like had like Power, the movie. That was it.
Is that allowed? Yeah.
We wasn't selling no
I
liquor.
don't think so. Oh, was there,
You realize-
was there alcohol being,
There was
No alcohol at all
food,
been sold. It was to the
nothing.
side
We have like a
and-
huge chalkboard, which we use as like a projector type thing. So,
Mr. Chair, yeah, you just said no alcohol being sold, okay. Was any alcohol being consumed?
No,
No,
it was to
not
the
at all.
side. It was just like a movie night.
but you had alcohol on site, on the premises?
No, I moved for that night. I moved the alcohol, and I locked my cabinet. I put it downstairs in the cabinet.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Weigel.
So, when did you take over operating the bar?
in May,
In May.
yes.
So you were operating under the previous
Nope,
guys?
we came in here and we, applied for a license, and you guys granted a license to us.
In May,
It's
and
like,
that expired on July 1st?
yeah,
Yes.
apparently that's what they told us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so from July 1st till, up until very recently, you had no license?
No.
On the premises? And how many days were you open approximately?
We weren't,
We weren't really open
Technically
unless
open, no.
her parents came. We had like a little.
Well, I mean, I drove by, I saw the open sign on, your Facebook shows a lot of activity, people say they've been going there. You did Packer party specials, you have, so you have been open to the public on several days since July 1st?
July.
I know we had like the Packer thing when your mom and them came. We had like a little event for them, but not for the open public.
Okay,
like-
so and the alcohol that you were serving there, where did you get that?
Well, her sister had got like when she came, she brought some alcohol, just her own alcohol. Like she didn't.
So nobody ever came in and bought a drink there, is that what you're saying?
To be honest, it really do be slow. Like, a lot of people don't even know we're there.
Honestly, I don't believe that. When I look at your Facebook activity, October 5th, you had like Bus Driver Appreciation Day or something, right?
Yeah, that was for, my mom's best friend is a bus driver.
Were you
And
open to the
she-
public?
No, it was just a couple people that
But
came,
alcohol was consumed there.
not bought. Like, they came, they don't, being honest, nobody, we have so many things on Facebook that say like, oh, they don't like us because the neighbors say like we're,
Well, I'm not talking about that. I just want to know what's been going on there. I've driven by there several times at night. I've seen the open sign on. I've seen people standing on the curb and the door open. And for all intents and purposes, it seemed like you were open to the public. Okay. You have not had a license since July 1st. Okay. You don't seem to know where you're getting the alcohol that gets consumed on the premises from. Do you understand you're only supposed to buy that from licensed wholesalers? Do you know
Yes.
that? Are you buying alcohol from licensed
Yes,
wholessalers?
yes, we
Which
keep those-
wholesalers
we
do you
keep
buy?
those
the
receipts.
discount liquor and the Ratas.
And Rochester, yeah.
Okay.
And that's it.
Very disconcerting to me that you're operating a bar with no liquor license.
Mr. Chair.
Can I add that I believe we also have a stipulation that you must be open to the public within a certain time frame of obtaining a license, or else your license is at risk. And I can't remember the time frame. Is it 30 days?
30 or 60, I don't know which.
Being that they don't have
30,
a
thank you,
license,
Steve.
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, you don't have a license
They
anyway.
don't have a
but-
license.
But to that point, yeah.
I get a question for you. If you own a bar, can you use it as a hall?
Generally, no. I mean, if you're gonna be opening if you're gonna be opening for events like that, and you have a license on the premises, you have to have, or if you're serving alcohol in a public space like that, and promoting and purporting to be a bar, it doesn't matter if no one happens to show up. If you have alcohol on the premises and people are consuming it, whether it's sold or not, if it's open to the public and available to the public, that's enough to be operating a bar if no one shows up. So, it's a very strict and regulated industry, and most bar owners take that very seriously and are very cautious to ensure licensure for that exact reason. At this point in time, just based on the testimony and what Wiles asked and the information on it being open, and in fact, the police on 3 separate occasions found that this place was apparently open to the public. I would have considered those things to be operating the bar, whether or not someone's in there actually buying it.
But, well, my question is that if I own a bar, or if Marty's got his place, and he's gonna have their family Christmas party there, he can lock the doors and everything and just have the family in there? Can you do that?
There is one provision that if you notify the police chief and police department ahead of time and you lock out alcohol, then you can bring in other people and close down for a private event. There's one special provision that allows underagers and everything to be on in those
You
circumstances.
said lock up alcohol?
Yes.
Not on the same floor, it's gotta be downstairs or something, or?
It's either,
back room?
the rule is in the statute, but I believe it has to be either locked in a separate room, or it has to be physically locked behind some sort of other structure that essentially creates a barrier between where the event is taking place, where people are going to be, and where the alcohol is.
Okay. Another thing on here is I'm looking at the police reports, and on September 1st, very, very troubling police report. Fights in progress at the bar, and reported a firearm. So in reading the report, the police officer are coming there, they don't know if somebody has a gun or not, and in one case, there was a car that wouldn't stop, so the officer pulls his gun out. And it's just like, once you pull that gun out, it's scary, a lot of different things can happen. And, to me, this is a major offense, and when we look at the police reports, there's some that are nothing. This one, to me, was a major one. Nobody is cooperating.
Which one?
As September 1st. Okay. 1:43 hours. And I don't know if everybody read it, but it's just a very troubling. It could have really blown up to be something. We've seen it in the past where someone could have got seriously hurt.
Was that what, women were involved? Yeah, that were a couple of girls that they were like drunk and they came in, and we told them like, they could, like, well, I had one of my family members told them like they couldn't come in, and they started screaming and started yelling, and they didn't want to get out. And someone, I don't know who called, but one of the people called that was there, and because they wouldn't get out, and when they got out, when the police pulled up, like they didn't want to leave, like they was giving the police hard time. But I couldn't put my hands on them. I couldn't tell them to leave because I'm a guy.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Mayor.
One of those individuals is actually 20 years old as well. If you look at the birth date of the individual, they were born October 19th of 1998, which means at the time of the incident, they were not yet 21 and they were in your bar, which is also an offense.
Well, I think the police report actually puts them in the car.
Yeah, they went
Correct, but he
in.
just indicated that they came into the bar.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Weigel.
I don't understand. You're saying these people came
They-
to the
they-
bar,
they-
you wouldn't
they
serve
came
them, and they
to-
called the police on
No,
themselves?
no. They came to the door and they were they was trying to get in, and I told them like we're not taking you because they was already kind of like drunk. So I told them I stopped them right there. I was like, y'all can't come in. They started arguing with the person. Like it was my cousin. He's not here now, but he was arguing with him. But I told him, gave them directions like they have to go, but they wasn't accepting it. So when I think someone, like when her family member called, Elena, she called, and when the police came, like they weren't even listening to them. Like they wouldn't get in their car, they wouldn't do anything, like nothing at all.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Weigel.
So, you're renting from Mr. Sandeo, is that correct?
Juan,
Yeah, from
Yes.
Juan? Okay. And who's Richard Dickerson?
Richard Dickerson, he was he's my friend. He just came in town. He was gonna help me like manage it. I was trying to help.
Because you have, your Facebook, it says he's your
Yeah,
manager last
yeah,
month.
he was gonna help me manage it
Yeah.
because I wasn't gonna be there.
He never asked to see if you had a liquor license or anything?
Huh?
He never wanted to say, hey, I'm running this place, I need to make sure the paperwork's right?
Well, he didn't officially like do anything yet because I'm always at work or got some other stuff to do, and he just got back in town, so he's seeing family members. He got a lot of stuff going on.
I'm just, it seems to me you're telling us you're not open to the public, but you have this guy who's a manager,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and like I said,
I was just trying to
your
put people in
open
place.
signs on a lot, and it sure looks like you're open to the public. I really, you know, I'm gonna, make a motion to deny
Second.
this license based on the history.
And, Mr. Chair, if I may,
Alderman Weigel.
yeah, these individuals are lying to us. Looking at the Facebook page, and party at Persona Bar, October 26th, everything $4 off for the night, 6404 West National Avenue.
That's for Halloween.
That's
That was for
the-
that was for Halloween. That was for Halloween, and when I posted that, it was for Halloween. That's not even here yet. Well,
Okay, so let's go back and then find events in the past when you didn't, so, okay, maybe you might have anticipated having a liquor license at that.
yeah.
September 12th, pictures of alcohol all through the bar, flashing through a person smoking a great big cigar in the bar, presumably violating the smoking ordinance in the city and throughout the state of Wisconsin.
That
That's what's flashing all through here.
was a picture. That picture of the cigar.
You're gonna come up with a story
No,
about this
that
and tell me how
that
this
was
is all
no,
completely-
no. That was mine. All those pictures you got, I made those. I can make it right now on my phone. All those pictures are old. That's me.
in your bar.
And I just make a flash just to promote like.
I'm not buying it. Anyhow,
Okay.
that's all that I have,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
There's a motion second. I just, once again, another question is that we don't need a summons to complain on this, correct?
No, this is a new license application, so the choice is to either approve or deny the application.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? The motion is to deny. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Sorry. Okay, then we got item number 52 and 53. These are the police reports on these.
Move to place on file.
Second.
Sorry, let me Who made the
May.
motion?
On that end.
And who second? Who second that one?
I did.
Made it.
Okay. Back to paying attention. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 6, okay. Then we have, number 39, request on Health Commissioner to fill a vacant deputy position.
Move approval.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Hold on my calls, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
See, we made it easy on the new health
Yeah.
commission.
It's not always gonna be this way. Still a honeymoon.
Sorry, everybody.
Okay, we got, number 40, various license.
Move approval.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Then we have the police report, number 41.
Move place on file.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, 42. This was the no violations.
Move to place on file.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Then we have the police reports now. I never got back to Ann, with them and everything, but I'm gonna go through them all here. Some of them we're gonna hold. I don't know if I can remember the police report. This is number 41, Flappers. I don't think there was any problem with
Move
that.
to place that one on file.
Second.
Chair, which one was that one?
Any further? 43, Flappers.
On September 3rd.
The credit card?
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? 44 and 45 are, I don't know if anybody wanted to call them in, I don't know.
What an interesting set of events.
Firearms.
Yeah.
But it's basically two bars fighting.
Which is a problem.
So I don't know,
Amen.
do we want to call them in?
Sure.
And talk with
I
them?
think yes, yes.
44 and 45. Okay, we're gonna hold those two. Okay, then we have 46. This is another one, this is where they tripped over the side.
Yeah, I think that's place on file.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Then we have 47, and I believe there's another one here. 47 and 50. These are both the same place. I'm trying to think which one's which here.
47 was the Oreo cookies,
Okay.
which I did not
is-
understand.
Well, I
Until you
didn't,
get to the end and you go, whoa.
well, the thing about it is that I don't think, no violation against it.
I don't think so
It's
either.
strange, it's bad, so.
Mr. Chair?
On those, I do want to know, sometimes we stipulate in a license that they have to have working cameras, and in both of these reports, the police went in and they said, we've got cameras, but they're not working. 2 incidents, not working cameras, is this something that we require of Cap City?
Mr. Chair?
Alden Weigel.
I think that 47 incident is completely,
You wouldn't see it on the camera.
it was about off the premises related to the neighbors. But
Number 50 you would.
Did we want to call them in for number 15 or 47?
47
Well,
would be
let's-
fine.
47 on file,
Okay.
but
yeah,
they'll be
47 on
both.
file.
Okay, you're making that motion?
Yes.
Alden
Second.
May. And Weigel seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
50,
Struck by a pool cue.
well, the thing about it is if the bar called in, who'd they say called in on there? The bar called in, it's one thing.
No, it was dispatched to the hospital for an assault complaint.
And that was inside the bar, right?
Yes.
Oh, let's call
And I
them
think the
in.
police report said the sticks were coming out or something like that, was a quote from the bartender. Yeah, we should call them in.
Okay.
That's 50, correct?
50, yeah.
50.
Okay.
And then we have 48, which is troubling, but I don't know. People highly intoxicated again, coming from there.
Bring them in.
Well, we had them in not that long ago.
Apparently they didn't learn.
Oh, this is with no bartending license.
Yes, no
either.
bartending license.
We're calling on
We'll
it.
Call them in.
Okay, then we have 49. Apologize, everybody. Usually this is done ahead of time. Oh,
I gotta remind myself. of this.
yeah, I know, they kind of run together. Oh, this is the person
This
fell
is,
down.
this is an
Yeah.
elderly gentleman who had 2 drinks
Yeah,
Had fallen over.
and needed some medical assistance.
Need
okay.
to place that one on file.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, same thing with, I have a motion on,
Yeah, on 51, move to place on file.
Second.
that's good, second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And then we're gonna hold 54 and 55. Those are compliance checks. And, and then the applicant is just, changing the agent. I told her, Ann had asked me, and I said, I didn't think necessary for the agent to
We
come
don't call
in.
agents. Move approval for 57.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, just to be clear, this isn't an agent change, it's actually a corporation change.
Corporation change?
But it's a
Okay, same thing.
corporation.
Okay,
Okay.
What do they do in my
Just clarify.
Applebee's?
so,
They do that
Uh,
every 6 months.
any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Will we adjourn, Mr. Chairman?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We are adjourned.
All right, and the Administration and Finance Committee will come to order. All 5 members are present. We will start with item 21 on our, 20. Item 20 on our agenda, the resolution to approve storefront improvement program contract by and between the City of West Dallas regarding Donnelly Real Estate LLC.
Move approval.
It's not real estate.
Yeah, it's, that's the name of, I assume his organization that owns the
Oh.
building, which is different.
Okay.
Chiropractor.
Yeah. And we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Chairman.
Patrick's here.
I'm right here.
Oh. We didn't give them one before, did we?
No, we have not.
Okay, because I thought they applied for one or
They
talked
might
about
have
one.
applied, but we
Years,
did
this
not.
is years ago.
They
when
did
first
fix the
moved in
building
there.
up though years ago
Yeah.
on their own,
On their own, they renovated the whole
quite a
building.
bit, yeah.
Okay.
But this is to replace storefront windows and retuck the point, and it's in the National Avenue corridor, so it falls within the parameters of the program.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 21 is a resolution authorizing the Health Commissioner to utilize grant funding from the FDA.
Move for approval.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I just got a question. You get a grant like this, I can't imagine a case where we would say no. Do these have to come before us
Yes,
by policy or by some
by
law?
statute, because
Statute.
there's no authority to spend from the treasury without an approval,
Okay,
so it would be like a budget amendment.
okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 22, resolution to consider transfer of $40,000 from Community and Economic Development Investment Fund regarding a land contract at the former Burger King.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion from Alderman May and a second from Alderman Weigel.
Any discussion? Yes, Alderman
Yes.
Rote.
Alderman Rowe, fire away.
Why are we doing this? I mean, I understand it. I'm looking at Patrick, but there's an attorney coming up.
I refer to our
Speak to my attorney.
Yes, I defer.
Since it was my idea, I figured
Why are
I
we
should
buying
explain it.
something just to make sure that the people fix it up is my understanding of this effort.
It is unusual, and the reason is because that property is in an unusual situation with title. There is a particular LLC or corporation that owns half of that property where the building is. A different company owns the other half. The tenant for the building or the improved area is Burger King, and one of their other corporations owns the other half. So there's an odd ownership situation there. The business or the building obviously is not being utilized by anyone right now. Burger King is still paying rent, though, just to occupy the land. And the owner of the land is trying to just sell the land with an unoccupied building that they cannot control because it's under lease for 4 more years.
So who controls the building?
Technically,
Burger King?
Burger King does
Okay.
right now. But they haven't operated there for several years now,
I
obviously.
understand that.
So the problem is that there really isn't any party involved here that has an interest or availability or ability to get that property back into useful production.
Who's paying the taxes? Wouldn't they be responsible for?
Burger King is. By their lease terms, they pay the taxes, they insure, and they also pay for anything else. It's literally just a landowner that only owns land and doesn't pay any expenses. So they're trying to sell it, but they can't even sell a cash cow like that because the future of that property is so dismal or unusual. So no one seems to be buying the property. Now, the idea would be, how do you get this back into use? And normally the city wouldn't get involved in this type of transaction, just let the market play out. However, because of those weird title situations and the weird lease and the fact that no one's using the building, the marketability of the property is really questionable as it is right now. Who wants to just buy half of a property, essentially, that doesn't have any improvements that you own? So the idea would be with the city coming in, taking over for just the landowner of that one half, then being able to leverage the terms of the lease with Burger King to get them to say, look, right now, as of today, you're committed to spend almost $200,000 on taxes and rent, and you're going to get 0 revenue out of it. So to leverage that point and say, look, Burger King, let us try to sell your properties for you. Then the city can market it as a whole. The owner of the property, the former owner who would become the land contract vendor, can market the whole property as well. Anyone can find a buyer to come in who wants to take over the whole thing. That buyer will come in, and whatever payment that comes through from that purchase would pay off Burger King's to what they want, would pay off the land contract. A new buyer would come in, the city would step out, it would get it back into productive use. It's a very long explanation, but it's a weird situation, and it was just an idea that I came up with as a low-risk way for the city to become the landlord, essentially.
And we're buying the land underneath the building.
Correct.
Mr. Chair,
Alderman May.
I believe the 40,000 is actually just for the brokerage
I know it's
fees.
for the commission, yeah.
And then all the rental money that comes in from Burger King is being used to pay off the land contract. And at any point, I believe the city can, with 30-day notice, can back out of it at any point.
So yeah, the terms of it are the 40,000 is being paid, and that counts against the purchase price. So it's 40,000 less than the original purchase price. The cash pays for all the closing expenses. The rent is equal to the amount of rent Burger King pays. So the Burger King would pay rent to the city, who then pay that on to the vendor, which would lower the balance of the land contract as months go on, making the ultimate purchase price cheaper at no cost to the CDA or the city. So it's an arrangement where for a $40,000 upfront investment that, if sold later on, would get paid back to the CDA. Then that's really the cost and the risk in the case, is that $40,000. If worst case scenario, things are unable to sell for the next 4 years, the city has not paid any additional money from that $40,000 originally, and then they can terminate the land contract and hand the property back over to the owner.
Are there any, this might be just rhetorical, are there any other situations like this in the city that you know of?
No.
You just don't know them, or you're just saying no, like, no, wrote there aren't any?
No, I don't know.
I'm
of
wondering,
any.
are we setting a precedent like?
I don't know of any, and this whole arrangement with Burger King was made back in the 60s.
Okay.
It just has continued on for a very long time. So I don't really know of any arrangement like this, and it's not a traditional way that most businesses would operate these days.
But we get the money back if it sells eventually.
If it sells for a sufficient price, I guess it would be ultimately the CDA's choice whether to, because now as an equitable owner of title, the CDA would have a say in whether the property sells to. It'd be a CDA, the land contract vendor, and the Burger King's entity would all have to be agreeing on the sale.
Mr. Chair.
Alderman Weigel.
Snow removal, weed upkeep, that kind of stuff is on who?
Burger King by the lease terms. And any charges or special charges
Special
that
assessments?
are put against
if
that property
Side
for
Street gets
services, that goes,
redone?
correct, assessments, charges, everything goes against the tax roll, which Burger King by lease is obligated to pay.
And they're not gonna argue that since the city owns the land underneath, that it's tax exempt?
No, I mean, I don't know how they would be able to do that, but
Okay, I don't know. I mean, we don't charge ourselves taxes on properties we own.
true. But as the owner of the property, if we don't seek tax exemption, then who would? And the occupant wouldn't be able to do that.
Okay, I just don't want to give them any ideas. Edit that from the tape. Edit that from the tape.
And on your tax assessment, you're assessed on the land and on the property.
Property separately.
Separately.
Yeah.
So that would be an argument.
So they still own the building still, the improvements are still there.
Correct, and they still pay the taxes and all that, and if for some magical reason they were able to get tax exemption, it doesn't matter because special charges and assessments would still be placed against a tax exempt property.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. I tell people it's like you own your house, someone else owns the land underneath it, and another party owns the garage and driveway.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to market a piece of land like that and get it productive again. And I think this is an instrument that we can use to do it. And that's why I'm in favor of
Is
it.
it, excuse me, is the building for sale now? Is the whole site for sale now?
No, only the land under half of the site is for sale.
The parking lot.
The parking lot's not for
The
sale.
parking lot's not for sale. The land under the Burger King is for sale.
Correct.
So imagine.
No, I get,
Yeah.
I get the whole thing.
It's
just like-
extremely odd. It's why there's no movement on this site for a decade. I think it's been closed about a decade. And it's highly infuriating. And I think what this also does is it gives the city a better position to come in and actually, force the improvements upon them without having to go to court and do things that way as well. I mean, it really helps, even if they sit on it for 4 years, at least clean up the site. So,
Okay.
And I still am convinced that once we lay it out to them what they're paying and what they're going to be obligated to pay under the lease terms, they'll be more willing to work with the city if they know that we're advocating for something that might ultimately save them money and even maybe get them paid.
ideally, I'd like to see all the property, the building, under one ownership. Much easier to sell.
Yeah, I mean, part of the sale would be doing a CSM to make this one parcel.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
We
Ayes
own a
have it.
Burger King.
They have to approve it too, though.
Just the land underneath it. Just the land underneath it.
And ultimately, it's a CDA.
Correct. CDA owns it.
Unbelievable.
Item 22A is on our supplemental agenda, a resolution relative to amending the City of West Dallas Policies and Procedures Manual. And Ms. Brill, can you explain this one to us, please?
There's two essential changes here. It's codifying the process to give eligible municipal court employees pay for performance awards, as well as eliminating or just limiting the nominations for the pay for performance award to supervisors and department heads. It's something that we had discussed as a group of department heads and made the decision to ask the council to change that process.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 23, Finance Director, Comptroller Report.
Move to place on file.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 24, the mayor's budget. Can I have a motion?
Move
for
to place
approval?
on file.
He does this every time.
Oh, you got us
That was a
again.
good retort, though.
You got us again. Oh,
Yeah,
no.
Place
we'll
on
hold it
file,
because
he
it's-
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Monday.
Thank you for laughing at my joke, everybody. We did that last year. I know, I'm gonna do it every year. Wait till next year.
Well, no, we'll know it then.
Well, Rote retorted with a motion to
Rote's
place
got
on
it already,
file.
yeah, that's right, he's chiming in at the other end, yes. Yes.
I will.
All right, moving on to item 25, communication regarding lots of fee changes for 2020.
Move approval.
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion?
Okay, why all of a sudden?
So, yeah, I can answer part of it regarding the fire inspection fees in particular. Because Chief Pooler knew that he wasn't going to be present, so he informed me about what the issue was there. Fire inspection fees are doubling. That's significant. However, there hasn't been a change since 1980 something, since the Reagan administration. Given that fact, that's where that's coming from. and Steve can speak about the issues. Steve can speak better on that part than I can.
Sure.
Well, we don't have that much photos here anyways.
This is them going to the.
I understand that.
Sorry.
Do you have questions on both the fees I'm presenting, or just?
Yeah, just kind of give a background, why are we raising these fees?
All right, well, the dog and cat license one was a correction. There's a state law that says they should be $5, but Matic has interpreted that there's another section on there that we can add a tax. I did ask Kale about that. Technically, I think this should be worded not as a late fee or a late tax or something like that, but all the other municipalities within Matic have a late fee of $6 and $12, so this is just a correction back to that.
Okay.
And then as far as the background check, I took an assessment of what we charge versus what we actually do when we do the background checks. And we pay the work system, which is the Crime Information Bureau background check system. They charge us $7 every time we do a background check. On top of that, the police department is also doing 2 independent background checks, one on the Department of Transportation system, as we've discussed through Health, License and Health, and then another through the Phoenix system. In addition to that, there's compiling going on between their office and our office, so I kind of averaged out the amount of time per background check, and an $8 increase was reasonable. It's actually probably a little bit more, but it's pretty close.
Just want a justification, that's all.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Alderman May.
I would just comment that these are not exorbitant. When you look at the actual amounts, they seem reasonable based on what things cost, so.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to add that the actual full fee schedule will come back to the committee at the next, the November 4th meeting for full adoption with these changes in there.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, and then we're to the city attorney claim report. Can I have a motion to approve that report as identified in our agenda?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. If you'll give me one moment, please. And then our public hearing items, item 29 is a resolution to approve.
Move approval.
Second.
Take
And
29.
30.
Yeah, well, 30 we need to place on file.
Come on.
So can I have a motion to approve 29, place
And
30
place
on file?
30 on file.
Second on both.
Thank you. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Anything else to properly come before the committee?
Move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.